Hello.
Is it a video or a picture?
That's a video. That's quite creepy, that is.
Ah!
That's really creepy. I like that. I like that. Good evening, you're watching UK Theme Parks. My name's Adam and today we are at Xtreme Scream Park here in Melton Mowbray, known as Twinlakes during the day but known as Xtreme during the Halloween season, and it is one of our favourite events. We've come all accustomed today, ready to take on the mazes, and there are 6 mazes plus a walkthrough to take on. We will be starting as always with Hoodoo Voodoo down at the front. We will then move on to Belvoir Manor, which is a fantastically detailed maze, and I mean that, really fantastic detailed maze. We have an upgrade to the Ashell Penitentiary, which is just around the corner there. Apparently it's a bit more open in there, which will be quite interesting to see. And then we have the Pie Factory, which is fitting for the fact that Melton Mowbray is obviously known for their pies. And of course, one of our favourite mazes, the Village. So the Village and Hoodoo Voodoo rank really high up there with 2 amazing mazes that we've experienced over the years. There's some food stalls here, there's a couple of rides open at the start with teacups and a sky swinger. Yeah, we're going to have a fantastic time. Hopefully the fire eaters are back here, but this is the Central Plaza. So this has all been changed last year to include more seating. We've got the shops all around there. From here you can only see a few mazes, so just that way is the Village. We're going to wait until it's pitch black before that, and Ashell Penitentiary is just down there. What one we're looking forward to? It's the Village. The Village. I know Hoodoo Voodoo won't disappoint, but the Village is always the one I look forward to the most here. It can cause nightmares. I swear to God, it's the original Crows for me. However, the Unfair Fun Fair, which opened last year, has been extended this year, so we're really looking forward to trying that out, because that was a lovely little walkthrough last year. But where do we start? We start down in Hoodoo Voodoo, and that's where we're going to head right now. Down at the sort of main greeting area, you can see Excalibur the Ride, which is open with the teacups, which are just over the back there, and Hoodoo Voodoo, which is the first maze you come to. So Hoodoo Voodoo is a mask maze. It's the one where you walk through the first half with a mask on, with a cloth over your head, a bag over your head is probably a better way of describing it. Or with the bag over your head, you follow the rope, and it takes you up and down, it takes you through like mattresses, takes you on wobbly floors. I have to say, it's quite an intense sort of one, and you really have to watch your step. It then goes out into sort of the voodoo world with a little bit of outside, a little bit of inside, and a quick moving tunnel. Ridiculously quick moving tunnel, although it's not the quickest tunnel they've got here. Right, that's our first stop. It's time now for Belvoir Manors. The detail in this maze is absolutely stunning. So this is the new maze for this year, Uncle Enos Open Acres, replacing the Ashes to Hell, which quite honestly last year wasn't a very great maze apart from one scene in a caravan. Now we're going to get this one done early because it had a hellacious queue last year, but as you can see, pretty much walk on today. Of course, the Hearst always makes an appearance at these, and zombie paintball. So they do have a sort of an area down the bottom which we will have a look at, which has got a bar in it, but most of the food outlets are sort of temporary bought in ones, which include burger and fries, Kicker's Bar. You've then got the chicken shop and the hot bar with the donuts. I say they're bought in, they might actually be all year round. I don't think this area is actually open up for everyone. If we look here, we can see a couple of mazes. We've got the new Uncle Enzios, I really can't say that, down the bottom there. You got the Unfair Fun Fair, which has been expanded to have a nice big indoor section this year, and Ashell Penitentiary to the right. Over here, behind us, we have the Village, and you can see the queue for the Village is massive. I'd probably argue it's the most popular maze here, to be fair with you, and rightfully so, rightfully so. But it is busy here tonight. It's not a sellout tonight, but it is busy. Right, let's show you some of the maze entrances before we start telling you all about them. It's always been one of the more popular ones, and it has been upgraded slightly for this year apparently, which is Ashell Penitentiary, going into a penitentiary full of prisoners. It's always been quite an intense maze, but the last few years, I won't lie to you, I felt a bit let down by it, but we are going to do that one today, give our review at the end of that one. Down the bottom here, and a very popular one, is the Uncle Enos Open Acres, which is replacing the Ashes to Earth. Ashes to Earth last year wasn't great, to be honest with you, so it'll be interesting to see how this one performs. And then to the right here is the upgrade to the Unfair Funfair. Just sort of roam free. And it is quite fun in there, to be honest with you. It is quite fun in there. He loves it, he absolutely loves it. And it's got a nice clown entrance as well. Yeah, nice little sort of walk-through scare attractions, not included on your ticket. It's literally open to anyone. You can go through as many times as you want. We'll show you in the shop in a minute, and down here, as we said, is the village. So the village is about experiments gone wrong. Effectively, the village is taken over with some really iffy experiments, and as you know, we love the maze. It doesn't need to change, to be honest with you. It works absolutely perfectly as it is, with one of the creepiest scenes you'll ever go through in the school, and probably one of the best finales to a maze we've experienced in the church. So yeah, we'll be doing the village last, but come to Xtreme Scream Park, you wait till it's dark and you just queue whatever the queue is. Now this year has seen the park upgrade slightly, particularly in t-shirts. We've got a lovely embroidered Xtreme Scream Park t-shirt, and we also have pin badges as well. Unfair Funfair, Hoodoo Voodoo, Belvoir Manors, Pie Factory Ashell. They're all here with the lanyards as well as ponchos. I guess that's just in case it rains. Got some hoodies. We said I don't particularly like these. I don't particularly like the sticker on them, to be honest, but these are lovely. These are genuinely really nice. So you get one with the mazes on the back. Sadly, it does still have Ashes to Earth rather than Uncle on NZ. I don't know what it is, but either way, it's last year's one. So like every year, we always get a fire show. And that's no different this year. She's just come out to do our fire show for us. And she's, yeah, I mean, must be cold for one, even with the fire going on, but she's brilliant with these. Every single year, these guys are fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I don't think this year will be any different. But again, nice little shows on. It is advertised what times they're on. It is worth coming down to watch them. That is not something that I would want to be doing, because that, yeah. Yeah, it's not something I want to be doing. Got some good photo opportunity points here as well. So we've got facilities here on the right, which is toilets. On the left here, we have Belvoir Manor. So Belvoir Manor is kind of a house. There is actually Belvoir Castle quite close. So it's obviously closely related to local stuff, which we like, because obviously the Pie Factory is, which we'll show you behind as well, and Belvoir Manor is the same. Belvoir Manor is beautifully laid out, really, really beautifully laid out, room by room as you kind of go through the manor. So we'll show you that just down there. Hoping you can see that on the camera, because it is quite dark. And then over the back there, you might see the sign for the Pie Factory. The Pie Factory really sort of loops on the fact that Melton Mowbray is obviously famous for its pork pies. And the Pie Factory entrance is down there, although I will say it is very, very dark. You probably can't see me or it on the camera. It is ridiculously dark down here, unnecessarily dark, that you can't see a goddamn thing. Right, so that's where the mazes are. We'll show you Hoodoo Voodoo, and then we're going to start going inside. So there we are. That is our visit to Xtreme Scream Park. Now, it's much easier to find some light because there's not a lot of it in this park, and talk to you about the mazes one by one. So we started off in Hoodoo Voodoo, which we did show you. And it remained pretty much the same, to be honest with you. You go in, you put a bag on your head, you follow the rope round. It's quite a tough course, to be honest, with the rope. But it does make it quite entertaining compared to some other bag ones we've done in the past. The bag is then taken off your head again this year, which is great. Taken off your head, and you're sent through the rest of the maze. The rest of the maze consists of obviously coming across witches, and you kind of go outside. Well, I say witches, it's like witchcraft, isn't it? I suppose voodoo is very, very odd. And you go to an outside sort of graveyard. There's some tight spaces, there's an amazing tunnel before you come to like the cauldron finale with lots of smoke and strobe lights. I love that maze. It has been our favourite maze in the past before, and it may well be again this year as well. We've then walked around to Belvoir Manor, which hasn't changed, to be honest, very much over the last couple of years, but it is a cracking maze. I did prefer it as the old sort of manor house, which it used to be, which had 2 floors, and we have said that before. However, the detail in there is fantastic, and it's just like walking through an old manor. So you have kitchen scenes, there's bedroom scenes, you know, it's obviously murder-based sort of house, if you will. There's a really great scene in there actually with exercise equipment. It's very, very odd, very, very different, and not something else we've come across as we travelled around. We've then gone over to the Pie Factory. The Pie Factory again remains pretty much unchanged, but really taps into the local history of the fact that Melton Mowbray is famous for pork pies. So again, basically you're the meat for the pork pies. That's the easiest way of putting it. So as you're walking through there, you'll meet lots of pig-like people that are wanting to kill you and wanting to harvest your meat. Fair play to them. It works really, really well. No complaints at all. It's a great maze, and it is one more for scares than what it is, say, for scenery. But you know, we like a good jump scare, and that's where you're going to get it. There are some amazing lighting effects in there, some really, really great strobe moments where, you know, it's not flashing quick, but it's flashing to a point where the light sort of stays in your eyes for a bit afterwards, which blinds you before it comes back on again, making it very, very difficult to see. Lots of strobe lights, lots of smoke, a really, really good maze. We then took a wander around the Unfair Fun Fair. You kind of take that at face value. There's great interaction by the clowns. Actually, there's some quite nice scenery in there, and you can take multiple routes. You're going to come across other people, and you may well get lost for a bit before you find your way back out. No problem with that. It's a fantastic addition to have that in the park. We've then moved on to Ash Hill Penitentiary, and this maze has been a bit of a downer of mine for the last couple of years because of the way they changed the lighting. We've explained this in other vlogs, so I'm not going to explain it again. And this year they have changed the lighting very, very slightly, but again, I don't feel it gives the actors a chance. I really don't. It's the only maze I can walk through where nothing happens. It has no effect on me whatsoever. There's a lot of tight spaces, there's a lot of confined spaces, and there's also a lot of, I'd say, trip hazards in terms of you do need to look where you're going. A few mazes you can just sort of walk through, you know, look out for jump scares left and right. That is one you do have to pay attention in. Whether or not that's why the lights were changed, I'm not really sure, to be honest with you, because the way the lights used to work, there were long periods of dark moments where actors could get in your face and scare you, even if you'd already seen them, because they would have moved. I don't, you know, the actors are fantastic. They're fantastic throughout the park, and I want to make that perfectly clear now. I don't think they've got a chance in Ash Hill Penitentiary to do that, and I think the maze needs a total rework. It's the only one I would say just needs a total rework. It's not what it used to be, and it doesn't seem to have aged very well at all. Our second to last maze was to try the new Uncle Enos open acre maze, which replaces the Ashes to Earth from last year. There's 2 scenes I remember from Ashes to Earth. One of them was the caravan which tilted from side to side. You walked across. I dread to think how many people fell over in there, to be honest with you, because I nearly did. And of course the random hanging bottles that were near the end. That's all I remember from that maze. It's a very, very different experience this year. Easily the longest maze I've got at the park, possibly the longest maze I've experienced in 2022. Based around the cornfield, it is then set up into different areas, so you kind of like still have a caravan scene, but it doesn't tilt anymore. So you go through, you meet a few characters, you go into the caravan, and there is a bondage scene at the back, which used to be in the old hotel manor. And you've got some guy, he's spanking a kind of a dummy that's bent over, and there's a lot of bondage stuff in there, Through a couple of rooms you take that with lingerie hanging around and various other equipment as well. There's a lot of suggestion from the characters in terms of sexual as you walk through there. As you come out, you then meet one of the female characters who's holding a used condom, which they put something in the bottom of. She then holds it up to her mouth and says, "It still tastes salty." It's quite something. It genuinely is quite something. As you then walk through, again, there are various other scenes. There's like a barn scene, which has got a buffalo, a guy trying to milk a buffalo in it. And then you've still got the hanging bottle scenes as well, before you kind of go into a chainsaw finale. Again, there's a lot more to the maze. It does go on for a bit. And one really nice effect in there, which I've not seen before in a corn maze, is they put up high kind of laser lights which shine across the corn, and it looks fantastic. It kind of looks like a slow dance area, the way it, you know, spotlights across, but it looks amazing. I have no idea why no one's done it before, really don't know, but it really adds to the atmosphere. They got smoke going off as you walk between scenes, and they have actually got actors in the corn as well. A massive improvement on Ashes to Earth to last year. Massive improvement. Actually, really enjoyed the maze. The only thing I will say is I'm still not 100% sure what the storyline is. Not quite 100% sure what the storyline is. We've then headed down to the village. The village is on a completely different level still, and it can be hit and miss. That's not with the final scene. It was probably a bit more of a miss this year than what it was a hit. But there are so many great scenes in there, from the opening house, which has got some special effects which are going to make you jump, to kind of walking in, and of course the school. The school scene is easily, for me, still the creepiest scene in any maze I've been in. Not necessarily the jump scare wise, although I did get jump scared in there. It's the creepiest. It's just the thought of going through. If you've got children, you fully understand while walking through. You know, coming out of there and going through the garage and the junkyard area, again, you can expect some scares before going through like a lab area, coming out and going through the church. The church, as you walk up and down the aisles, you don't know who's alive and who's not, and there were actually actors this time sitting on the bench scaring people as you go along. You have like a plain moment, and then it just goes in a frenzy mode with the strobe lights going off, and it is a fantastic finale to a maze. Genuinely brilliant, genuinely brilliant. For me, I think Hoodoo Voodoo takes it again this year, just ahead of the village. Hoodoo Voodoo just doesn't seem to fail. You've got the opening bit with the hood, which works really well because it's varied. It's not just following a flat path. You really do have to pay attention. And then you've got a second half which is full of jump scares. I absolutely love it. The village is a close second, and had it had probably a full finale with a few more jump scares in the church, it would have taken it, because the school got me once again, and once again it's just so creepy to walk through. The new maze, Uncle Enos, actually was really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, I don't mind the bits they go through. I don't mind walking through all the bits, you know, that what I've described during that maze. It's a bit weird, I won't lie to you, but actually it adds a bit of variety to it, so I don't mind. The spinning tunnel in the pie factory is so disorientating. I mean, there's one in Hoodoo Voodoo as well, which moves fairly quick, but the one in the pie factory nearly made me fall over. It is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant, and I think that one would come a close third. But the other mazes are really good, with the exception, I'm afraid, of Ashell Penitentiary. You know, the other 5 I would go through again in a heartbeat. Ashell I would skip. I'm afraid it just needs a rethink. You know, if they can't change the lights back for whatever reason, they need to change the maze. I think probably maybe move some chip hazards and give the actors a bit of a chance to scare people, which they can't do at the moment. At the end of it, I will say there's very little safety guidance as you go into them. There were 2 mazes which went, yeah, no filming, don't touch them. That was it. That was it. We were touched a lot in Hoodoo Voodoo. In fact, throughout all the mazes, we were touched quite a lot from sort of, they love stroking my ears. For some reason, they love stroking my ears. So from stroking my ears to stroking my hair to grabbing arms, grabbing hair and things like that is quite rife throughout, which I'm absolutely fine with when you come to places like this. However, you have got to read it on a sign because they're not telling you it before you go in. So just pre-warning you, if you come in, you can expect that. And also the lighting, it is dark in quite a lot of places. I think a little bit more lighting wouldn't ruin any of the mazes, for one, and certainly around the pie factory you can't see the entrance without turning your phone torch on. And you know, even from a health and safety point, the ground isn't flat. Let's make it clear, the ground isn't flat. But Extreme, a solid 9 out of 10. It has been a fantastic evening here, and a massive credit to the UK scare industry to have this park here. Have you been to Extreme? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know what your favourite maze was and how you got on here. But we've had an incredible evening here at Xtreme Scream Park, and yeah, make sure you come before it closes at the end of the month. You will not regret it. My name's Adam, this has been UK Theme Parks. I'm sorry this is more of a talking one, we obviously can't take you in the mazes, but I hope you've enjoyed our review of it, and we'll see you next time.